All right. Good morning, everyone, and it's great to have you all here on another session of the Constromart Knowledge and Experience Series, Volume 8, Number 7. Thank you all for joining us bright and early. We appreciate your commitment to learning and sharing. Today's topic, collaboration and team strategies for high impact projects. I believe we can all resonate with it. It cuts across every industry, every team, and every project. If you have ever worked on a project where communication breaks down or expectations are unclear, you will understand just how important this discussion is. And if you have ever been on a team that just works, you will also know the difference between strong teamwork and weak teamwork. So today is all about learning how to build that kind of team on purpose. We are happy to have with us today Dr. Jeff Bassey to share his insights on this very topic. Dr. Jeff Bassey is the founder and president of the Institute of Leadership and Strategy. Doc is a leadership and strategy expert and has consulted and trained more than 200 organizations, including the Bank of Ghana, Newmont's Ghana Limited, USAID, Ghana Revenue Authority, Coca-Cola, amongst others. Doc holds a BSc in Administration, LLB, MBA, and a Doctor of Business Administration. Doc is a chartered accountant and certified strategy professional. Prior to starting the Institute of Leadership and Strategy, Dr. Bassey founded the HR Certification Center, which has been adjourned as the #1 HR institute in Ghana. Dr. Bassey, we are happy to have you here with us, and I'll leave the floor for you to share your insights on the topic. Thank you.
All right. A very good morning to you all, and thank you indeed for honor sharing my thoughts. I think some of the microphone is on, giving feedback.
Okay. Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So share my thoughts on the subject of collaboration and team strategies.
Daniel Johnson, if you are online, to share some of your experience working on teams and to set the tone for the discussion. Thank you. Mr. Daniel Johnson.
Okay, thank you very much, Jacqueline. Good morning, everyone. So I'll just share some few experiences I have had working on teams and some key lessons I have learned. Excuse me. I think the first thing that I would say is I think communication is very crucial when working with teams. I have learned that clear and timely communication across teams is very essential. For example, sharing updates, raising concerns early, and even documenting decisions helps prevent delays and also enhance coordination when you're working on projects. And the second thing I would talk about is respect and trust. It builds strong teams. For example, working in a team, you have other team members where you trust what they do, and there's that mutual respect. Even when you are executing a project, it helps to build a very strong team.
All right. Thank you so much, Daniel. You're talking about communication and respect. I believe this has set the tone for us as we hear from Dr. Bassey enlighten us on strategies we can do to enhance communication and respect. Thank you. Doc, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for indulging me, the moderator, and everyone else, especially Daniel Johnson. Thank you for, sharing those short but deep, thought or areas of reminder to all of us when you are working in a team, particularly on a project. Thank you so much, Daniel. So I'll be sharing a few thoughts with you. Let's go. Slide to next.
Do that.
Okay. All right. I just realized that. Thank you so much. All right. So this is a statement I'm sure most of us are quite very familiar with. It says, coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, but working together is success. I am dead sure that coming together, you have indeed done so in your various teams or project teams. Staying together, yes, we work together here and there, but I always say that the coming together of even individual champions doesn't constitute a team. At best, we'll describe you as a group. So much so that if you brought powerful footballers like the to Fields, the Didier Drogba, David Beckham, all those individual champions, Michael Essien, etc. 11 of them together. If they don't appreciate or obey team playing spirit, they are likely to lose a match to Bando Hearts of Lions. What I want to say is that yes, we may have come together, we may try to stay together, but the real deal of being a team and pressing forward and having results is when we actually work together. And so coming together is just the beginning. Staying together is good progress, but the goal is that we can work together and not only be defending our individual, assignments. Right. I don't know which of these two arrows represent the team you superintend or working at the moment. The top arrow, the bigger arrow, for instance, represents the organization where direction is clear, vision is espoused, everyone knows why we are here by way of our mission, etc. So we are clear, maybe there's a strategy that have been communicated to everyone, and we all have achieved what I choose to call synchronized thinking. Everybody's hand is on the steering wheel. We know where we are going. The first arrow is quite a perfect one, where the organization itself that represents the bigger arrow is clear, and the smaller arrows then represent every individual player within the team. Everybody is aligned. We all understand where we are going. But unfortunately, the second arrow, as much as the organization might be clear on where it is going, or the project you are pursuing is clear, the project charter is signed, the sponsors are on board, project managers have taken control, etc. Unfortunately, as much as there are individuals in the team that seem to be aligned to the direction we are going, there are also some that are pretending to be aligned, and then there are those who are clearly rocking the boat and if you may, sabotaging nearly everything within the team. This is quite a familiar thing. It happens in many projects, many organizations here and there. And I always say that if the first arrow, the top one, represents your organization and your situation, of course, then you are the lucky one. We thank God for you. But if the second arrow, the one below, is what represents you, then we need to do some turning of the corner. In the words of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, he says he's going to help us turn the corner. And let me say that if the second arrow is what represents you, you are not condemned. That is why we always are committed to continuous learning, and how do we get everybody in the team, or most people in the team, to be aligned to where we are going. Now, working in a team is materially difficult, first and foremost, because it is difficult working with people. And that is not starting with you. That has been the case since time immemorial. For those of us who read the Bible, sorry if I had the sensitivities of non-Christians on the call, but for those of us who are Christians and read the Bible, Moses had issues with Aaron. Jesus Christ himself had issues with Judas Iscariot. At a point, Nelson Mandela was sold to the world as the most respected human being on earth. I did not say most respected African, most respected person. Yet he had a great deal of challenge dealing with Winifred, one simple woman that God gave him. Now, I say then that working with people in teams is a Herculean task since time immemorial, all right? But the question that begs to be answered is, why are people difficult? You see, if you have ever caught yourself, say, why is this guy like this? Why is he so different? I don't know why he acts the way he does. Blah, 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 blah. Well, I have bad news for you. He's also wondering what kind of human being you are. Why are you like that? Blah, blah, blah. Now, the chief reason, number one reason working with people is difficult, number one reason we disagree with people, we quarrel, etc., is the fact that as humans, we have different perspectives to the same issue. We have different perspectives to the same issues as humans. Now, if you ask the giraffe to tell you the color of the elephant, where does the giraffe appreciate the elephant from? From above. So he will tell you what color he sees at the back of the elephant, representing the color of the elephant to him. What if you ask the tortoise to tell you what the color of the elephant is? The tortoise only appreciates the elephant from beneath. That dark gray color at the belly of the elephant is not the same at its back. Two of them will be reporting what they see from their perspective, and they will be very much right from where they stand, but the answers, the response will be divergent. The responses will not align. Now, I had a training for VRA, Water River Authority in Akosombo some time ago. I went to that trip. I was on that trip with a PA. During lunch break, they were serving only rice dishes, and I didn't want to eat rice on that day. And so I decided to drive to town to eat banku from a restaurant. Apparently, my PA also decided to also go with me and not eat the rice dishes. So when we finished eating from the restaurant, we couldn't find the young lady who served us, the waitress. So we have to resort to describing her to another waitress to fetch her for us. And we did all manner of descriptions. I mean, slim, tall, blah, blah, blah. And I remember saying she had no earrings on. My colleague insisted, my PA, that no, the young lady was wearing earring. Well, we battled it out for about 4 minutes. Ring, no ring, ring, no ring. Eventually, the young lady came. She had one ring on, one off. We were both right. Every normal human being have two ears. The side of her head or her ear that I appreciated, I saw, had no ring in the ear. The side my colleague saw had ring in the ear. Now, for me, then I have come to conclude that to live and work with other people require first seeing things from their perspective, listening, making attempt to be understood before making attempt to understand before seeking to be understood. I'll say that again. To work with people require listening to them, are trying to appreciate things from their perspective, why he's arguing the way he's doing, listening, making attempt to understand them before seeking to be understood. Now, I'm not saying by all means go by his points, go by his argument, but whether or not you are going by it, you are even in a better position to argue if you first made attempt to understand, then it helps you to help him or to make him understand you better. Number one reason two people fight, quarrel, disagree on a team in a project is that we appreciate the same thing from two different perspectives. The second reason people are difficult, seemingly difficult, as you consider him difficult, he also considers you difficult. So the second reason is that human beings have minds of their own. They think for themselves. They make their own decisions. They make their own choices. I did a strategy session for the executives of Olam. Olam have about 6 business interests in Ghana: Olam Cocoa, Olam Cashew, Olam Biscuit, etc. And they met in this rather beautiful facility, Safari Valley Resort. If you have ever visited a place, you will know that it's a hybrid of nature and modernity. I saw wildlife walking through the hotel freely. So I asked my butler, the guy who was assigned to be my guide whilst I stay in the hotel, I asked him, these animals you have let loose, they are not anchored, they are not chained, they are not caged. Don't they run back into the forest? He gave me a very profound answer I consider quite instructive. He said, no, sir. They don't go back into the forest because they have been tamed, programmed, conditioned to understand their ecosystem. Now, that answer will be apparently correct because animals obey instincts and genetic code. Human beings have the power to access new information, have the right or the power to listen to advice, the thought of somebody else, and change their own ways. All right. That is one of the powerful things God has blessed us with. Everybody have a mind of his own. But as you have yours, may you know that the other person also have it. The third reason people are difficult is that human beings have the power to make choices. We are not animals. And then the fourth one is how erratic the human mind is. The human mind is highly erratic. Today, I say yes based on conditions and situations around me. Tomorrow, the answer is no. And it's not because I'm the bad guy, but I'm only premising my decision based on what I find around myself. I don't know if you have ever come across this concept, the Johari window model. Johari window model, which is a 4-box graph or quadrant. The first box says things you know about yourself that others know about you. That is in the open. We don't worry too much about that. Things you know about yourself, others also know about you. But the second box is things that you know about yourself that nobody knows about you. Those are your secrets. We all have some, all right? But where my challenge is boxes 3 and 4. Box 3 says things people know about you that you do not know about yourself, which means that we all have to do some finding out. Those of you who are in management roles, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, you have names that your team members call you that you may not know. If you're aware of it, thank God. But that name is actually a reflection of what they think of you, all right? Some of you are called Champion Atta, others are called Mr. Know-It-All. I was doing a leadership session for Charterhouse, and the CEO said she's been known as Auntie Maggie for several years. It took her just a couple of years ago to discover it. And I'm like, Teresa, what does Auntie Maggie mean? It's Margaret Thatcher. It's all right. If the guys are calling you Margaret Thatcher, it then is a reflection of what they think of you. Folks, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to people management, when it comes to playing in teams, perception has the same impact as reality. Yes, the perception is not always reality, but when it comes to dealing with people and working in teams, what people perceive of you will influence how they relate to you. All right. So the third box says what? Things that people think about you or know about you that you do not know about yourself. What it means is that we all have to do some finding out. We all have to find out, all right? Because what they perceive of you then becomes their reality that then influences how they relate to you. The most dangerous box is the fourth one. Things you don't know about yourself that nobody knows about you. Did I hear somebody say, but then that doesn't exist? I don't know about myself. Nobody knows about me. Well, I'll prove to you in the next 2 minutes that it does exist. A lot of the politicians that come before you and I vote for me to become president or to become MP, whatever. I am not corrupt. Nobody knows me to be corrupt. I don't know myself to be corrupt. He's right. He's correct. At the time he's telling you he's not corrupt, he's telling the truth. He's not corrupt because he's never been corrupt. He doesn't know himself to be one. Nobody knows him. He's never been caught on anything being corrupt. So the guy is genuinely telling us the truth until he gets into the office. And it is only at the stroke of his pen that 500 million Ghana city contract will be awarded. And he's looking at the money and imagining what a portion of it could do for him. And say, my friend, you need to agree to give me 10% of this money. Otherwise, I'm not signing the contract. I thought you say you are not corrupt. There's a saying that what money cannot do, more money can do. All right. There's a proverb in my village that says that a man only gets erection when he has money at his back pockets. All this issue of I don't like women and it's only my girlfriend or only my wife. Well, I pray that it is true. But out of 10 persons, maybe only two can keep that. The other eight, take my word of honor, it is absolutely lack of money to prosecute agenda. All right. The moment money hits your pocket, ideas will start flowing through your head. Money, Charlie, a lot is covered by poverty. You got no idea. A lot is covered by poverty. The day you start making money, you will realize that weekends are not for washing clothes. You redefine what weekends are actually meant for. So you are saying that you are not this, you are not that, you are not that. Dr. Mensa Otabe says he doesn't trust poor people who are humble. No, who do you want to rush? Nature have programmed you to be humble anyway. Say, give him money and power, and then we will know whether he is truly a humble person or not. Folks, the only time we truly know the true color of the tea bag is when it's lowered into the hot waters. Otherwise, green tea, black tea, brown tea, they look the same when they are dry. The human mind is highly erratic. Today he says yes, tomorrow he says no because conditions have changed. So I say that to successfully work together with others requires seeing things from their perspective, listening and understanding before seeking to be understood. This is a thought I have shared with many organizations in this country. What you see on your screen in the red ink now. We do not manage people. We don't manage people. We manage agreements with people. On a good time when we meet again, I will explain that statement to you because I can deliver a complete full day lecture on just that statement. We don't manage people. We manage agreements with people. People are too difficult per all these qualities I've given you to be managed. Rather, we establish agreement, cajole, and get people to see things through our eyes. And then we become police officers over the agreement because involvement breeds commitment. Involvement. Any change that is imposed is a change that will most likely be opposed. A change imposed is a change that will most likely be opposed because the human mind is fundamentally conservative and resistant to change. And some of the time, the only time we truly get motivated to change is when people understand the consequences of inaction. All right. So let's look at the perception dilemma, the leader and the led, the team, you as a player in the team and the other team member. How do your team members see you? To you, you are the fine gentleman in suit or fine gentle lady in suit and white and there, but on top of your head is a dog head they are seeing. For them, this is a very inconsiderate man and blah, blah, blah. How do your team members see you? Now, is their perception of you the reality? Between you and I, let's agree that it is not the reality. There are some erroneous perception they hold of you. But I told you a moment ago that in people management, in dealing with teams or team members, perception has the same impact as reality. And so if the perception is not great, you want to do. So I ask you, how are you aligning their perceived or their erroneous perception to the reality? Because a leader, a team player, a leader without followers is but taking a stroll alone. All right. The best way we align people's perception to the reality is through engagement. Engagement, if you ask me, is perhaps one of the most powerful tools of any leader. Now, we have successfully reduced communication to announcement sessions. No, communication is not announcement. Communication is engagement. I watched a short video clip on Facebook some years ago, And because I'm a leadership teacher, I interpret a lot of things around me from a leadership perspective. Now, the clip, in the clip or in the video clip, a teacher walked to a basic classroom, say class two, and then picked a pupil, one of the little girls. Girl, if I gave you 2 apples and added another 2, how many apples would you have? The girl said, I'll have 5 apples now. Teacher said, that's not correct. 2 apples, another 2. How many would you have? The girl said 5. The teacher literally called his PA, bring me apples. The PA brought apples. So the teacher literally handed over 2 apples, added another 2. Now, little girl, how many apples do you have? He asked in a calm and pathetic tone. The little girl said 5. The teacher said, are you okay? So if I gave you 2 oranges and added another 2, how many oranges would you have? The little girl said 4. The teacher said, that is correct. The principle is the same. If 2 and 2 oranges are 4, how come 2 and 2 apples will be 5? So the teacher fired the question for the final time. If I gave you 2 apples, added another 2, how many apples would you have? The little girl said 5. At this point, the teacher pulled her ear. Are you okay? The girl said, sir, it's because I already have 1 apple in my bag. Now let's examine this communication carefully. The teacher here is you, the team player, the manager. The students here is the team member or the staff. The problem in this communication is when the teacher asks the question, 2 and 2 apples, the girl said 5. The next question you should have asked is, why do you say 5? Communication is about engagement and not announcement sessions. Why do you say 5? Then we can have an interaction, a jojo, to appreciate why you argue the way you do. Who said the answer is always the answer according to you? The last time I checked, as much as 5 plus 4 is 9, so is 7 plus 2. It's also 9. Do you know that 6 plus 3 is 9 and that 9 plus 0 is also 9? Why do you walk in with prejudiced mindset? The only way we will find 9 is when we add 5 to 4. No. A leader without followers will just be taking a stroll alone. So, just some 3 key important questions. Do you know, how much do you know your team members? Do you know why they behave the way they do? But most importantly, what can you do to improve their behavior so we can enhance productivity? Moderator, how many more minutes do I have, just so I know how to summarize what I'm doing? Madam Moderator, how many more minutes?
Please, you have about 10 minutes so that we can also take questions from our audience. Thank you.
Yeah, very well. I think you just tempered with my presentation, moderator. Okay, good. Right. So what can you do to improve their behavior? Now, because of the time, I'm going to skip a few of the things. But first and foremost, I'd like you to appreciate that in that team, that organization, that team, that project team, you are composed with individuals with different personalities, different attitudes, different values, different perceptions, different motives, different aspirations, why everyone is there, and of course, different abilities. Diversity itself is a way of life. Everybody cannot be like you. And if you don't appreciate the fact that everyone cannot think like you, cannot act like you, then you are probably not mature yet and you are not ready to play in teams. You are not ready a leader yet. And the differences will come because of inherited individual behaviors, because of different causes and motivated behavior, but most importantly, because of different beliefs and different values. Attitude is a product of belief. So what you believe is different than mine means our attitude will naturally not align, So these things are quite normal. And because of time, I'm just going to go ahead and share with you how to deal with some of these things in a team. Naturally, we can put all team members into 3 categories. The complainers, the ones who bastardize nearly every decision. They disagree with the leader. They don't collaborate with others. They are characterized by general lack of cohesion, etc. They are about 20% of the team, all right? Then we also have the collaborators. They are quite a lot, about 50%. They are collaborators not only because they exude or exhibit all the positives. Yes, there's positives in them because they agree with everyone, they vote for the team's decisions, etc. But they mostly lack initiatives. They are like wheelbarrows. Until you push, it's at the same place waiting for you, etc. Then we have just a very small group called the high flyers, who are 20% of the team. But most of the time, they are responsible for 80% of the work. So because of these differences, the organization then the team is thrown into sometimes disagreement, conflict situations, etc. How do you handle conflict? You are one of three types of people as to how they handle conflict. You are either a mouse. A mouse then means that you pretend you are not angry, you pretend you are not being offended. When there's a conflict situation, you don't want to address it, you ignore it, you give in, you avoid, and sometimes you even talk about people behind their back without having the courage to engage them assertively to deal with the situation. You are a mouse type of a reactor to conflict. Otherwise, you're also a monster. A monster is the guy who yells, he hits, he threatens, he slams doors, break glasses, issue verbal abuses, and in the very extreme, sometimes physical abuse, etc. I condemn the first two. The first guy is more like dull, is pretend there is no issue. The second person is aggressive. The third one, which is ideal, is a me. When there is a conflict, we deal with the situation. Now, I share with you a couple of rules of engagement. Rules of engagement in conflict situation. The first one is that you do not walk away. You control your distancing reflex. When there is a conflict situation, we deal with the situation. We don't, well, if we're at workplace, if he says you won't talk to me, I don't care. He's not my family member. No, do not walk away. You control your distancing reflex. Two, do not power play, especially if you are in a position higher than the other person you are picking the issue with. Folks, it is the issue we are discussing and not who is in what position. The next one is to take the risk to offer conciliatory gestures. Take the risk, offer conciliatory gestures. And you who we have taken the risk for to approach, to apologize, to deal with the situation, do not exploit the other person's risk that he has taken. It takes a lot for a person to swallow his pride, her ego, his ego, to come and say, bro, I am sorry, sis, the way this thing went. So don't acknowledge the conciliating gestures. Number 4 is that do not freeze. Keep the conversation on track. Folks, where there is no talking, there's no solution. Where there is no talking, there is no solution. Even the biggest wars around the world that started with guns and weapons only comes to an end, not with guns and weapons. It always comes to an end when we sit across the table and talk. So I say, where there is no talking, there is no solution. I don't know if you have ever come across this story, the camel story. Now, so the story goes this way very quickly. A father left 17 camels as an asset for his 3 sons. And when the father passed away, the sons opened up his will. And the father's will stated that the eldest son should have half of the asset, in this case, 17 camels. The middle son should have a third, and the last son should have a ninth. Now, your guess is as good as mine. You and I know that it is not possible to divide 17 into half, or by 3 or by 9. The 3 sons naturally started fighting each other. After fighting for some time, they decided to go see a wise man in the community who himself is also a camel rearer. After they narrated their story, the wise man listened to them carefully. He decided to bring one of his own camels to add to the 17. Now the camels' number have been increased to 18. Then he asked them, my children, go ahead and read that will again. The will says the first son should have half of the asset. Now, half of 18 is 9. The second son should have a third. 18 by 3 is 6. The third son should have a ninth. 18 by 9 is 2. So they all have you take your 9 cameras and go home. I've resolved your problems for you. You take your 6 cameras and go. You take your 2 cameras. Now, when you add 9 to 6 to 2, the answer is 17. And the wise man had his own 1 camel back. Everybody is happy, problem solved. The moral of this story is simple. The attitude of negotiation and problem solving is to find the 18th camel. The 18th camel in this case is the common ground. The common ground. Folks, no matter how a water boils, if you give it time, it will cool off. Nobody sees through muddy waters. You need to have time and patience and allow the mud to settle. The water needed to be clear in order for us to see through. Because most times in conflict situations in teams, we allow emotions to take over. And I won't have time to explain emotional intelligence. All I can say is that you must find a balance between your heart and your mind, a balance between your logic and your emotions. Everybody cannot be like you. And if you don't appreciate the fact that diversity is a way of life and I have to learn how to live and work with other people. So you must become self-aware. Who are you? What are your triggers? Now that you know your triggers, maybe you are prone to anger and all of that. How do you regulate that so you do not destroy working relationship? Then there is also motivation, empathy, putting yourself in the shoes of other persons and having social skills to work in teams. Before I wind down, I want to quickly share with you 5 team building laws. 5 team building laws. Number 1 is the law of purpose and vision. We must always remember and emphasize the reason people don't gather for fun. If there is no cause that puts us together, then we are going nowhere. It was under the leadership of President Nixon that America first made the attempt to go to take astronauts to the moon. The president visited a secretariat one fine morning, the secretariat that was preparing the astronaut. He met a cleaner. Between you and I, the guy was a cleaner. But he didn't know the guy was a cleaner. He greeted the cleaner. Good morning. What do you do here? I thought the obvious answer should be, Mr. President, I clean. No, but the gentleman answered, Mr. President, I'm helping to put a man on the moon. Are you a scientist, for Christ's sake? But that is a cleaner who understands why he's cleaning. I don't give him necessarily the credit. I give the leadership who makes everybody know that beyond your individual work, there is a purpose for which we are gathering. So there must be a constant reminder of that strategic linkage between why the organization, the project exists, and what role you are playing. The law of purpose and vision. Number 2, the law of integrity and trust. Folks, nobody follows you until he can trust you. The fact that you have people saying yes sir to you doesn't mean they are your followers. No, they have to say yes sir to the title you carry, you bear. But true followership is because the guy trusts you. But first and foremost, before he trusts you, he must believe that you have integrity. What is integrity? My best definition for integrity is walk your talk, do what you say you will do. Then there is also the law of charisma and motivation. There's a lion in every human being, but many people's lions are sleeping. And we need leaders to wake these lions up every now and then. Folks, people have the power, the ability to do great things, but they just don't find the right motivation. If you ask a pregnant woman to run, 5-month pregnancy, she will quickly remind you of her pregnancy. I'm pregnant. Why? I can't run. Just keep quiet and release a wild dog after her and see whether she would manage to run or not. She has the ability to run, except she didn't find the right motivation. All right. If you have ever come across a documentary on the shark in the sea, you can check it out this video on YouTube. Sharks only grow by their environment. So that if you catch a baby shark, I don't know what it's called, so let's call it baby shark. When you get a baby shark and put in an aquarium or a tank of water, even for 10 years, it would never outgrow the size of it's true, you can check it out. That is the reality of sharks. It will never outgrow the size of that tank of water. At best, 8 inches. Take the same shark and place back in the sea. Under 2 years, it will grow its full length to, say, 8 feet. Sharks only grow by their environment. The law of purpose, the law of charisma and motivation. Then there's also the law of communication and information flow. The law of communication. I'm happy Daniel spoke about that. Who needs this information? Why does it need the information? At what time does it need the information? What are the escalation procedures when the information is delivered? All these boxes, the boxes are about 14, how to communicate on a project. 14 boxes. If you miss one, you can dilute what you are communicating, and then it fails to achieve its purpose. Then there's also the law of respect, the law of appreciation, the law of agreement. Every human being loves to be respected. Everybody loves to be appreciated. And whatever you appreciate, appreciates. I hope you understand that statement. Whatever you praise, increases. There are actually three behavior modification strategies: positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, extinction. Positive reinforcement means that any behavior you laud, you praise, you applaud, you appreciate is most likely going to be repeated. Now, any behavior, negative reinforcement is any behavior you bastardize, you scold, you shun, is most likely going to be truncated and discontinued. All right. Because the culture of a people is simply the behavior its leaders allow. All right. So if you don't like it, you address it. Then there is a third one called extinction. That is where you neither praise nor scold. All right. So that then just brings me to the end, especially when I heard a moderator say that there can be a few minutes of interactions. If there are any couple of questions for me to answer, I would respond to it and share my thought with you on playing within teams. So, moderator, before I deliver my closing remarks and to say thank you to you, if there are any interactions, we can take it before I do that, please.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Bassey, for this insight. I mean, you have really gingered our Monday morning, me personally, and I believe it applies to all of us on the call. Before we open the floor for general questions, we've had so much. I'll start with a quick question. Sometimes we do make some mistakes, and I want to find out how do we avoid certain mistakes, especially when you are working with team members in a high stake projects that can really cause financial disruptions or even time management.
Your question is quite generic and almost vague. If you say we do make some mistakes, if you don't qualify the mistakes, it becomes difficult to help on how to avoid them or correct them. All right.
Right.
But all I can say generally, if you want to make it more specific, fine. Otherwise, I can still share some generic thoughts.
Okay, so for example, bringing up conflicts that are not necessarily going to make the project progress, but these conflicts are not something that can be avoided, but then it ends up coming to disrupt the teamwork.
All right. Conflict, I mean, dealing with conflict itself is in three folds. There's what we call the conflict prevention, then what we call conflict resolution, and then there's conflict management. The three are not the same. Let me liken it to being infected with a disease. Conflict prevention is make sure that disease doesn't infect you. Conflict resolution is when you get infected, we got to do surgery to take it off your system. It's painful, but it's once and for all. Let's resolve it. Then there's a third one, conflict management. This is where we can't perform a surgery. We need to be managing the condition more or less, like we give you painkillers. You know, HIV/AIDS at the moment have no cure, but it's what we call treatment. All right, you are put on antiretroviral drugs to make sure that your immune system doesn't get defeated by the virus, etc. So now, when there is a conflict situation, first and foremost, we try to. I understand the next person. There's a difference between reacting and responding. And if we had time, we would have been emphasizing it, but there's no time. But let me say that reacting is immediate. Your emotions take over your logic. You raise your voice. You use unprintable words on people. Later on, when you calm down yourself, you might even have regret and all of that for all the steam you've blown and etc. But reacting, responding, we will still deal with the situation, but that one we give some time. when our logic is now in control. We speak to people about the situation in calm and pathetic tones, blah, blah, blah. I always say, before you punish or pardon, you must first engage. We are not animals. If there was a dog lying down, you were placing your four-leg chair, and one of the legs sit on the dog's tail, the dog will turn and bark and spontaneously make an attempt to bite you. When you place that same leg of a chair on a human toe and he issues a slap without engaging you, the dog and the human being are the same now. The human being will be reduced because the human being should first engage. Why did you place the chair on my toe? Oh, sorry, I didn't see your toe there. All right, next time be observant. We've resolved the situation. Or I placed the chair on your toe because I think you are a foolish man. This is the time to pay you back. Then you can issue the slap. So I say that before you punish or pardon, either of the two must ride on the ground of engagement first. There are two rules of natural justice. I mean, in law, not just in law, in life. The first one is normally expressed in the Latin terms, audi auterem patem. Before you incarcerate a man, before you count a person as guilty, you must first give him hearing. You must always hear the other side before you act, all right? The second one, by the way, is what we call nemo jude in causa sua. You cannot be a judge in your own cause. The law is just trying to avoid bias in situations. So patient ability to understand the other person is always the way forward. And for team members, what we are also saying is that we are here to work. If that behavior pattern will not help that mistake, avoid it in the name of team progress. All right. For the sake of time, we can take the second question.
Yeah, thank you, Doc. The floor is now open for questions. I see a couple in the chat, so I'll just read them out for you, Doc, then you can answer them. So Chelsea says, thank you, Dr. Bassey, for the insight shares. We'll definitely need part 2 of this session. My question is, how do you onboard new team members into high-stake project team without showing momentum or creating gap in understanding?
How do you onboard new team members? Give me the last statement, the last part of the statement.
Into a high-stake project team without slowing momentum or creating gap in understanding.
Well, we'll have to unleash the whole steps of onboarding. Too many a time, when we say onboarding, we just pay lip service to that word. We actually just end up doing orientation, and then we call it onboarding. Onboarding itself is a step-by-step thing. Beyond the orientation, when people understand the structure, who is who does what department, what are the reporting lines, and all of that. A full onboarding even require that the person even have a buddy, the person have a mentor or a coach. As for a coach, it's naturally defined because whoever you report to automatically becomes your coach, but sometimes mentoring and making sure that there is constant engagement and feedback system from the person. And there is also support when people are new on project. Peeling on when they goof is the worst thing you can do to them. At that point, they would rather need some sort of support system so that they can get well imbibed into the team. So what I want to say is that I don't know if the person who asked the question actually knows what onboarding is, because too many times when we say we are onboarding people, what we want to say is that we are orienting them. I mean, these days there is University of Google, the University of YouTube. You can learn almost anything you want to learn. I want to entreat my August listeners to maybe learn a bit about, make an attempt to understand onboarding process, how to onboard people onto a project. You have a step-by-step way of doing it, way beyond the one-day orientation we provide. And it helps a lot on how not to slow down productivity. Too many a time we mistake people who get trained. Oh, he's from school, he's a certified project expert, PMP, etc. You know that 70% of the things you know today, you didn't learn from the classroom, you learned on the job. It's a mistake we make when we think that people are trained and therefore they don't need coaching. During the onboarding process, you have to coach them. Have you ever seen anybody finish piloting school and we put him in the console as a captain? No, you fly alongside an experienced pilot for some time. You don't finish law school and establish your law firm and start taking cases. You practice with an experienced lawyer. You don't finish medical school and then a patient is lying down and say, go and perform surgery. No, you observe a senior surgeon for some time Then you now do it together with him, and later we hand over to you. It's the same thing. When people come in and they are being onboarded, there must be some coaching and support system without minding the fact that they have training and they have first class certificate in this and that and that. You yourself, you learn a lot of the things you know today, you didn't acquire from the classroom. You picked it on the job, right?
Right, thank you for that, Chelsea. I hope this has answered your question. We'll move on to Daniel Johnson. He says, "Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Jeff, for such an enlightening presentation. I would like to ask, how do you measure the success of collaboration in a project? Are there any specific indicators or behaviors you look out for?"
Beautiful. They don't come to mind very readily, but I normally say that the best way to measure the effectiveness of a system is the result it produces. One of the tools I use to measure whether there's collaboration or project is the balance scorecard. I'm sure Daniel is familiar with the David Norton and Robert Kaplan's balance scorecard. It's where we are not just looking at are we even just getting result, but what behavior is leading to the result. Now, you want to look at the individual attitudes and culture of the people. There are two major reasons people don't perform. One is lack of skill, and I don't want to emphasize that in this meeting. The second one is lack of motivation. People complain, they compare inconsequential assignment to the serious one just so that they can look busy. They want to back instead of playing a leading role and all of that. A lot of these signs are as a result of lack of motivation. And most of the time, people don't get motivated when they even have personal problems. So how do they behave as far as the culture is concerned? Do these people talk in meetings or they keep muted? Are they free to walk up to the leader and raise issues? And how does the leader react when they even make mistakes? A few of these things, do you have the culture of silence or not, are all indications whether people are willing to collaborate or not. You see, there is what we call the tacit knowledge and express knowledge. People will always come to the workplace with a tacit knowledge. They've been trained. Sorry, with express knowledge. Tacit knowledge is ignited by the project manager on the work, which ignite collaboration and by extension, build a positive culture among the team. So as much as I don't have specifics for you, Chief Daniel, I want you to pay a bit of attention to the balance scorecard KPIs for measuring a team collaboration on a project.
Thank you, Doc. Daniel, has this resolved your question? Thank you. And this one is from Benjamin Frimpong. Benjamin says, "Thank you, Dr. Jeff, for your presentation. My question is, as a team leader, at what point is it okay to remove difficult team members?"
We actually assume that there's no difficult human being. That is an assumption in psychology, except that there are situations that create difficulty in people. I'll say that again. There is no difficult person. It's a perception or an assumption in human psychology. But what makes people difficult is that situations create difficulty in people. The leader have the Herculean task of identifying what is creating the difficulty in the person. Anger, indecision, conflict, pettiness, and all. The moment the leader does what I call behavior diagnosis, and you identify what is creating the difficulty in the person, then you find a way to deal with the difficulty in the person, and then you have a nice person. So bottom line, what I want to say is that it pays a lot if a leader operates with that assumption. The reality might be people are difficult, but the assumption that they are not, what then is creating difficulty in him? Let me identify that seeming situation creating the difficulty, and then through a coaching session, deal with that. Now, when we talk about coaching, coaching is not teaching. Coaching is not giving instructions. Coaching is not even giving directives. Coaching is a facilitated conversation that provides self-awareness, self-learning, different perspectives to handling situations, and that is what makes one a leader. Again, I would entreat you, learn about what we call coaching or performance coaching. I'm not talking about Jose Mourinho kind of coaching. I'm talking about performance coaching at the workplace, on project, etc. Coaching is a skill so many managers don't have. I personally got trained in how to coach for 3 working days in Johannesburg. I did it for Kempinski Hotel, Casa Preco, and the rest. All managers will sit 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., 2 days, learning how to coach workers into collaborative teamwork. So it's a whole thing altogether. And you may want to also do some learning on your own YouTube and the rest, how to do performance coaching on the team. It helps you to deal with difficult behaviors in employees and get them aligned with the team as we move.
Right. Thank you, Doc. And Benjamin, I believe you are satisfied at this point. We'll move on to Wilberforce Sechieje. He says, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Jeff, for the insightful presentation. Please, what advice will you give young engineers to build strong communication and teamwork skills early in their careers? And how can entry-level professionals contribute meaningfully to team collaborations in projects?
Well, too many a time when we are young and joining the workforce, we get so inundated with thought of how do I make money and blah, blah, blah. Please, let me tell you this. Life is in stages. At a point, you focus on acquiring skills. At another point, you focus on selling those skills to make money. Then at another point, you focus on how to enjoy the fruit of your labor. Don't confuse the 3. When you are at the entry level, your number 1 focus is, what am I becoming here? What am I learning? What skills am I building? I always say, if you work more than you are paid, very soon you'll be paid more than you work. If you do more than you are paid, very soon you'll be paid for more than what you do, because the world rewards value, not time. I hear people say, time is money, time is money. Respectfully, that is childish talk. That is below average. The world doesn't pay you for your time. Your security officer comes 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 12 hours. Your CEO comes 11 a.m. by 3 is gone, 4 hours. Who is paid more? The world pays you for the value you bring on the table and not how much time you spend. I agree that it takes time to build value. And so when you're at the entry level, your focus will be, how do I build value? How do I volunteer? So long as your presence in that committee, that team will not be a nuisance, volunteer, because the focus is to learn. The focus is to be groomed. The focus is to be coached. The focus is to understand what others are doing. So at your entry level, make sure you give off your best with the goal of growing, not what you are getting from the establishment. That is the general advice I give to people who are the entry level of their careers. All right, as much as possible, you want to learn and know more from those who are ahead of you, and very soon you shoot into the system. So your learning attitude is A1 for me when you are the entry level of your career.
Yes, thank you, Doc. Wilberforce, I believe you are satisfied. I know we are running out of time, but we'll take the last one from Yvonne. Yvonne says, good morning, Dr. Bassey and everyone. Thank you for this interesting presentation. My question is, how can one be assertive and communicate their concerns or ideas confidently while still maintaining respect for colleagues and contributing positively to teamwork, especially in high-pressure project environments?
Yeah. Well, assertiveness itself is a mindset. I normally say that attitude is a product of belief. What do you believe about yourself? I want you to know that whatever is a skill can be learned by anybody. So the fact that the other person knows something you do not know today, it only meant that he has invested time and focus and energy into the area over time. If you desire to get there, get ready to invest the same energy, time, and focus, and you will also become. So really, there is no point feeling subservient to anybody, because where you are now is as a result of what you have, you know, and what you're able to do. I can learn it too, know it too, and we also be able to do it with time. So I only want to learn from you. Doesn't mean I should be scared of you. So she has used the word herself. Let's be assertive. Assertiveness simply is it's an equilibrium or a middle ground between being dull and being aggressive. In other words, don't feel subservient to anybody, but don't also look down on another person. Always feel free to speak up your mind, ask questions if you do not understand. Be respectful. And Ghana, one of the part of some of the signs that you are respectful is when you use please, thank you. Yes, use those things, but it doesn't necessarily mean you should be subservient. I've served as visiting lecturer to a university in the UK sometime in the past. And I see how assertive those white guys are when they are sitting in your classroom. They are not afraid of the instructor. You are here to guide me to learn. I said, I disagree with what you are saying. But I've taught also in Ghanaian universities where students swallow hook, line, and sinker. Anything the lecturer have to say, it's supposed to be sacrosanct. No. And it's partly because of our upbringing. When you were a child, you heard too many no, stop, no, don't do it, much more often than give it a try. So we all grow in that sense of you must be submissive, you must be obedient. So much so that people have become stupid and they call it humility. All right. Everybody have called into his shells. And the moment you come up to tell what you can do and your assertiveness, the whole world is going to start calling you. You are rude. You are arrogant. And in order not to appear as one, you quell into your shells. I know there's a fine line between being confident and being rude. Don't be rude. Don't be arrogant. Just be confident. Respect the other person, but don't also tolerate being disrespected by another person. Again, I don't know, it's maybe because I'm a researcher and a teacher or a consultant, I do a lot of reading around these little things. Some you can read books on self-confidence and the magic of thinking big and all of those things help you. The magic of thinking big is actually a confidence building book. You want to read all those documents in order to write, and it is infectious. Nobody respects you when you're not confident in yourself. So it's an ingredient for rising to the top in your career, and you got to have it. Listen, you can be very honest. You can be telling the entire truth of what you are saying. If you don't present it confidently, we'll dismiss you, either outrightly or madly in our minds. We don't agree with you, though you have told the truth, but you didn't say it from a confident position. So it's a major virtue, if you ask me, every professional must build. All right.
Right. Thank you so much, Doc, for that. We've all learned a lot today. One thing I have captured is people have different perspectives, so nobody can be like you. A special thank you to you, Doc, for giving us such a practical and guidance on how we can build teamwork and collaboration during project implementation and even in our workplace. And thank you all for being part of today's session. K&E keeps going because of your participation, your engagement, and your willingness to share knowledge. So we are truly appreciative of you. As always, join us same time next week for another inspiring session. Stay connected with us on LinkedIn at Constromart Africa and on our website, www.constromartafrica.com, for updates on upcoming sessions, speakers, and resources you can use in your work. I wish everybody a great and productive day and see you next week. Bye for now.